Welcome to the August 12, 2019 meeting of the Florissant City Council. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Okay. Shildroth. Here. Hanky. Here. Pagano. Here. Parson. Siam. Harris. Jones. Here. Egan. Here. Caputa.
Here. Next item on the agenda, approval of minutes. Are there any corrections, additions to the meetings of the City Council meeting that was held on July 22nd, 2019? Hearing none. Councilman Shildroth moves to approve the minutes, second by Ms. Pagano. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. I would like to amend the agenda for Resolution 1012 for Mr. Slottick. Second by Mr. Shildroth. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
So now we do first reading. So resolution number, if you want to go on the side right now.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Let me get it here on the paper. Yeah.
Okay.
Resolution number 1012.
Resolution of the Florissant City Council honoring Police Officer Gary Schlottick for his 39 years of service as a dedicated officer for the City of Florissant.
Councilman Egan moves for a second reading, second by myself. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution of the Florissant City Council honoring Police Officer Gary Schlottick for his 39 years of service and as a dedicated officer for the City of Florissant.
I'll move for a third reading, second by Ms. Pagano. Roll call, please.
Shildroth.
Yes.
Hanky.
Yes.
Pagano.
Yes.
Parson.
Yes.
Siam.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Yes.
Resolution of the Florissant City Council honoring Police Officer Gary Schlottick for his 39 years of service as a dedicated officer for the City of Florissant.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience that would speak on this resolution? Seeing none. Clerk, please poll the council.
Shildroth.
Yes.
Hanky.
Yes.
Pagano. Yes. Parson.
Yes.
Siam.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Jones. Sorry. Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Yes. Resolution number 1012 passes.
So it's a little difficult here because the court went out of court, but I just want to tell Gary thank you for his 39 years of service. I've known Gary a long time, since I was a little boy growing up in this town. Gary was a police officer, and the loyalty and dedication Gary's shown to the city of Florissant and its residents for 39 years, I really want to appreciate. And the other thing I want to say is, Gary, I appreciate you being a friend, as you've been a friend for the last 40 plus years, not just to myself, but also my family, my son, which you coached in hockey. And as you guys coach college hockey together, so thank you very much on a personal note and for all of our residents. Thank you.
I just want to echo what the mayor said. 39 years is a tremendous amount of time, and Gary dedicated that time to the city of Florissant and its residents. He's done an outstanding job. His services are already missed. We often have to refer back to him for some information that he knows and the rest of us are not quite sure of. So Gary, we do really appreciate everything you did for the city, and we wish you well in your retirement.
I'm going to have City Clerk read the resolution. There's a lot of information on this resolution that I think a lot of people never realized that Mr. Schlottick done for the city. And I think it's his accolades are top notch. Clerk?
Okay. Whereas after graduating from the Greater St. Louis Police Academy, Officer Gary Schlottick began his law enforcement career with the City of Overland, Missouri in December of 1978. In October of 1980, he joined the City of Florissant. And whereas Officer Schlottick Was assigned to the Patrol Division, the Overlay Squad, and tracked down individuals with outstanding warrants. Worked undercover in narcotics. He served on the Police Bicycle Unit and the Florissant's Tactical Response Team. For 2 years, he was given a guest firearms instructor and a red handle firearms trainer with SLCMPA, where he assisted in the in-service training of municipal police officers. He was also in charge of Florissant's Armor Department and was a firearms instructor as well. And whereas in 2001, he recommended the addition of a code enforcement officer and worked independently for almost 12 years, where he is responsible for orchestrating several code enforcement ordinances that were passed by the City Council. Officer Schlottig worked tirelessly and was committed to enforcing the ordinance of the City of Florissant. In 2017, he was named Code Enforcement Officer of the Year by the Missouri Association of Code Enforcement. No other commissioned police officer has ever won this award in the state of Missouri. Whereas Officer Schlottig represented the Florissant Police Department as the Deputy Director of Emergency Management Commission and is still a member of the Missouri Region C Incident Support Team that also covers 3 counties in Illinois. Whereas Officer Schlottig is very passionate about hockey. He coached at the mini-mite level and 2 bantams with the St. Peter's Hockey Club. He was also assistant coach for Fort Zumwalt West, assistant coach for Chesterfield Central States Hockey Program, assistant coach with St. Louis University, and for the past 3 years, he's a head coach for Washington University's hockey program. And in 2019 was named Coach of the Year. Whereas Officer Schlottig holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Lindenwood University. He has 9 wonderful children, which are his entire world. After 41 years of wearing a police uniform, he is retired from Florissant Police Department and will now be moving on to his next endeavor. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Florissant, speaking for itself on behalf of the citizens of the City of Florissant, that the Mayor and the City Council go publicly on record as saying to Officer Gary Schlottig with a sincere, heartfelt thank you for a job well done, and wish you the best of luck in the future.
Next item is certificate of recognition.
Officer Kimberly Berry and Officer Freddie Lee. Officers Lee and Berry presented a proposal for a new program called Future Leaders Academy to reach high school age children during the summer to expose them to various positive career paths. Their Future Leaders Academy was approved, and they were able to impact the first 17 students by presenting a positive steps towards successful futures. In their 2-week program, they successfully implemented exposure to college admissions counselors, military recruiters, personal fitness instructors, experts in how to apply for a job, law enforcement career professionals. They also were able to keep the students engaged by providing them activities such as a Cardinals baseball game and a barbecue. Future Leaders Academy was a progressive, one-of-a-kind, impactful program for their outstanding service to the community, for presenting the most favorable light on their profession, and for their outreach to the program to the youth of our community. You are both officially awarded the Certificate of Recognition.
Next item is police accommodations.
Officer Michael Kiefer. On April 12, 2019, Officer Kiefer heard a radio broadcast regarding a burglary first degree in the 600 block of St. Catherine. The original broadcast identified the suspect only as a black male wearing a black jacket. When Officer Kiefer observed an individual riding a bicycle hurriedly away from the area of the burglary, he was able to stop the bicyclist. When he obtained a detailed description from the officers at the scene, viewing the doorbell camera, he realized that he had stopped the correct suspect and took him into custody within 2 minutes of the broadcast. Officer Kiefer's interview roadside also resulted in the suspect telling him where he had hidden the stolen property. A warrant was later issued for burglary first degree, and a bond was set at $150,000. Due to Officer Kiefer's excellent police work for a dangerous felon, has been removed from the city of Florissant. Officer Kiefer, you are hereby officially commended.
I just want to take a minute to congratulate the officers. I think tonight you get to see the best of the Florissant Police Department. You know, we come here from time to time and we pass out police commendations, and most of those are for good arrests or good crimes that have been solved. And we certainly have done that tonight with Officer Kiefer. But I think you see another side of the department, and that's the side of community service that often goes unnoticed by the public. But the men and women of the Florissant Police Department truly go above and beyond and spend so much of their own time to outreach to the community, to get involved with various groups and various things. And this program certainly illustrates that. So I truly believe that we have the finest police department in the entire state of Missouri. I think that all three of these officers are certainly a great representation of that, and I couldn't be more proud for them and for the agency itself. So congratulations to all of you.
I just want to echo the same thing that the chief has said is about the outstanding, loyal, dedicated employees we have at the Florissant Police Department. Officer Kiefer did not just an outstanding job, and I really congratulate him for his due diligence in catching that burglar. Officer Lee and Barry, I mean, every time they're both SROs in our schools, and I mean, they are so loyal and dedicated to make sure that they do things for the kids. I mean, they actually started a mentoring program 2 or 3 years ago at the elementary schools, so they're continually coming up with these ideas and programs to better our community and to better our children. So thank you guys once again. Thank all three of you for your hard work and dedication. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is hearing from citizens. This is a time to speak to the council on any issues not necessarily on the agenda for 3 minutes. This is not a question and answer period. If you'd like to speak to a council member or the mayor, please stay till after the meeting is over and we will get with you. If you're here to speak on the public hearing, please wait to the public hearing when it is announced. First one, Mr. Ben Hammond. State your name and address for the record, please.
Yep. Ben Hammond, 1620 Florissant Park Drive. I came tonight to speak on an incident that occurred a few weeks ago. It was an interaction between a council person and a young man. I'm sure you may have seen it. It's been viewed over 4 million times on Twitter, and it's been reported on by both local and out-of-state agencies. It's really hard for me to understand why our city has yet to make a statement speaking out against the abuse of power on display in the recording. According to the Riverfront Times article, they even reached out to the city requesting comment. My wife and I have shown the video to our 9-year-old and 12-year-old of Councilman Jones and the young man in the McDonald's parking lot. We didn't edit out any of the F words or try to sugarcoat anything. Now, this might seem like questionable parenting, but we did this for a specific reason. We wanted them to see what privilege looks like, and we wanted them to see what abuse of power looks like. You see, if my children are out with friends and witness abuse of power and authority on display, I want them to act as the young man in the video did, with humility and respect. So I'm here tonight to see which elected officials choose to address the issue and which ones ignore it. I want to see who the elected officials choose to support and protect. Is it the citizens or the men and women sitting next to them? Where's the moral line? Where's the code of conduct? This is about more than an incident in a McDonald's parking lot. And I think it's important that the council and mayor know that I'm concerned about the abuse of power displayed and would like to see some actions taken. This incident reflects very poorly on our city.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond. Pauline Frischera. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Pauline Fischera, 980 Harrison Street, and I've lived here for about 15 years. And I've come today to thank the police for what they do, but I'm scared. I've never been scared living here before. I'm sick of the crime going up. On the 25th, we had 4 break-ins that we know about on my street. Not sure who they attempted to break into and didn't get. Stole 1 car, stole a camera. A few blocks down, they broke into a house, broke into a car. And if you go out on Nextdoor, you're seeing this more and more and more. I've never been afraid to live here. If I remain afraid, I'm gonna move. So I came here to ask the police, who I know are already overworked and don't have anything left to give, and I'm asking you to do more. I'm asking you to do more to intensify it and to be able to get what you are doing out more than what you are on social media. There's a Sergeant Parrish from Hazelwood that is out on Nextdoor app. And he has put a significant amount of time and effort into talking about the Neighborhood Watch programs there. And I think that that is reaching a certain area of the public that other areas where you do talk about that are not. I didn't even realize that my street light was out. We got that corrected. More and more families are going with Ring. There's a lot of people always out on Nextdoor that don't know who to call to help to get installations. I'd like to see ideas put out there. I'd like to see in the fluorescent white page paper, I'd like to see each time until we get this better under control, I would like to see what the fluorescent residents can do to help to better protect their property. Whether it's repair your fences. If your fences are those metal ones and they're broke down, how to get them repaired. If it's to add lawn lights, if it's to add your porch lights and keep them on longer, if it's to develop the neighborhood watch programs, getting the council members and others more involved and more out there, get the word out there. I come from a really small town of about 15,000, and I laugh when I go home because in the paper they list the names, the ages, the addresses of all the offenders. You can get busted for pot in your car, you can do anything, aggravated or domestic abuse, anything. It's in the paper. I don't know what you can or can't do here, but anything to publicize the people who are doing stuff and getting caught, anything to publicize that we're banding together and we're not going to tolerate this anymore. I was supposed to have about 5 to 8 people here with me. I'm here, this is my first time in 15 years. Probably shame on me, but everybody's busy. But this is how important it is.
Thank you, Pauline.
I've talked to a
Your
lot of
3
people.
minutes is up, ma'am.
Okay, and Florissant is united on these feelings. I'm not alone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don Adams. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Don Adams, and I live in Florissant, Missouri. I've lived here for 45 years. I'm up here speaking on something that I really know nothing about because I haven't seen it. But apparently 4 million other people have, so I guess I'm in a minority class here. I don't know what happened with this whole situation, but as all I know is our councilman is an excellent councilman as far as I'm concerned. He has done more for our ward than any councilman I've ever had for 45 years. Did he make a mistake? I don't know. Did the kid make a mistake? I don't know. There could be a learning moment from this instead of somebody just getting plastered on a cross. Because I guarantee you, there's nobody in this room that hasn't made a mistake in their life. I don't care if they were 6 years old, 4 years old, 40 years old. Nobody. I'll guarantee you that. And this man should not be crucified for what he did. something happened, whatever happened, I don't know, okay? But as all I know is he's a good councilman, he deserves to be supported, and I'm here to support my councilman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Okay, next item on the agenda is communications. Seeing none. Next item is public hearing. Public hearing number 1908015.
In accordance with Section 405, 310 of the Florissant Zoning Code, a public hearing will be held by the City Council of Florissant, Missouri in the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, August 12, 2019 at 7:30 p.m. on the following proposition. To authorize a special use permit to 102 Venue LLC, DBA 102 Venue, to allow for a catered banquet center in a B3 zoning district for the property located at 1850 to 1817 Dunn Road. Citizens will have an opportunity to be heard. Anyone with special needs should contact the city clerk at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 or TDD 839-5142.
Is the petitioner present, please?
Yes.
State your name, please, for the record and address.
My name is Leisha Bell. My address is 2220 Wedgewood Drive, Florissant.
Can you move the... Yes, there you go.
Is that better?
That's a little better. Thank you.
Okay. I am here to ask for a special permit for a cater-in banquet facility located at 1815 through 1817 Dunn Road in the Waterford Plaza.
Mr. Egan.
Welcome, Ms. Bell. Thank you for coming this evening and your interest in the city. I have a couple questions about your proposal.
Sure.
Will you be doing, number one, will you be doing food preparation on site?
No, sir.
How will you manage to keep the food at a safe temp and safe manner if
We have warmers for that.
you have warmers for that? Will you be dispensing alcohol on site?
I am going to petition for a license for alcohol.
Okay. What about music?
Yes, there will be a DJ or either pre-programmed music.
And what hours would you anticipate that you're going to operate?
It depends if it's like for repast or something like that. That will probably be done in the daytime. If it's for a birthday party or wedding, it will be done from, say, 4 to 12.
And when, maybe Mr. Hessel can answer that, in the petition, don't they have to have a starting, ending time that their hours would end?
You certainly could include that as part of the special use permit process and review. We have certainly identified the hours of operation for other special use permits.
Do you have any reason to go past midnight?
No, sir. I can stop it at midnight.
I would like to include that, and I guess my concern is that right, not necessarily in a neighborhood, but there's apartments around that and such, and I want to make sure that when we're having events, especially if there's a DJ, that the back door's not open and it creates a problem, with sound going out the back door. What about smoking? Do you have a smoking area set up for it yet?
It will be outside.
It'd be outside, okay. And I think I'm almost done with the questions. I read in planning and zoning recommended, said you would need 2 ADD restrooms.
Yes. And I did take a wheelchair into that second one, and it does go in just like it did in the one.
I don't know can we ask Mr. Phillip that would comply as a ADD restroom? Do I need to change it? Mr. Lum, if you don't mind, I would like to know if you explain what that means to me, of getting a wheelchair in there suffices.
I do have pictures. You need to see the wheelchair in there.
If the petitioner submitted a plan that had 3 restrooms on it, one of which was large enough for ADA restroom accessibility. This one.
Microphone.
Okay.
And
He needs a microphone.
this one.
He needs the microphone.
Microphone, please. Mr. Law.
This one might be possible to convert. This one might be possible to enlarge. So one or the other has to be converted in order to make 2 accessible restrooms. Although they have 3, these 2 don't currently comply with the ADA.
So you're aware, Ms. Bell, that you have to have 2 that comply, correct? And since you're still there, Mr. Lum, is there any issues with needing additional parking, or does that comply?
Included in the staff report, once a shopping center like this starts accumulating assembly-type uses, such as a banquet center, this one, it increases the parking. This one, according to the staff report that I included for planning and zoning, increased the parking at the center by, I thought I saw the term, 25. 25. Retail spaces have lower density of occupants, and assembly spaces have a higher density, thereby increasing the parking. However, on the parking lot itself, there are currently enough parking spaces.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. The only other thing I'd like to ask Ms. Bell is you're good with the hours of use being over at midnight? Yes. Then I'm going to add that as an amendment to the ordinance. Thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Egan.
Wait, Mrs. Bell.
Ms. Bell, hold on, a couple more questions.
Come on back.
Tried to get away.
Not going to get away that easy.
Take it while you can.
Ms. Pagano.
I'm Ms. Bell. Well, we had the opportunity to meet before planning and zoning, actually, and I was able to look and see what she wanted to do. And I asked similar questions as you did, Councilman Egan, and she assured me that it wouldn't be 18 and under parties, it would be older,
Yes.
because she has children of her own that are grown, so she's been through all this.
Correct.
And it sounds very nice. I think she can hold 100 people. Am I right?
Yes.
Close to 100 people. Yeah, and the one bathroom is quite large, but I'm sort of questioning why she would need the other one to be that it could be a unisex restroom. But I wish you luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pagano. Yes, Ms. Bell, was it 100 people is your max for receptions or parties?
That's where I want to keep it at. It can hold more than that, but I want to keep it at a minimum.
Now, because I know, especially with the smoking, because I know we've had other places to where they went out the back door smoking, where the residential, and they left the door open and the noise and that. So, like Mr. Egan said, kind of keep conscious of that, because we will hear about it from the residents.
Understandable.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this public hearing? Seeing none, Ms. Pagano moves to close this public hearing, second by myself. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Public hearing is closed. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Next public hearing is public hearing number 1908016.
In accordance with Section 405, 310 of the Florissant Zoning Code, a public hearing will be held by the City Council of Florissant, Missouri, in the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, August 12, 2019, at 7:30 p.m. on the following proposition: to authorize a special use permit to Legends Academy, LLC, DBA Legends Academy, to allow for a child daycare center in a B3 zoning district for the property located at 1645 North New Florissant Road. Citizens will have an opportunity to be heard. Anyone with special needs should contact the city clerk at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 or TDD 839-5142.
Is the petitioner present, please? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Jessica Carter, 2245 Answorth Drive, St. Louis, 63136.
Can you explain what the special use permit is for a child daycare center?
It is a child care center for children.
Can you explain how many children you would be having at your
I would have
max?
20 children, about 5 full-time staff.
And what'd you say? I'm sorry, your staff?
5 full-time staff.
5 full-time staff. Okay.
Including myself.
Mr. Hinkie?
Yes, good evening. I used to be chair of the council for this, for the structure down there. There used to be a dentist office down there.
I'm sorry?
It used to be a dentist office next to where you're at down
Yes.
there, right? And it is you have parking and off-site drop-off and everything. I was looking over your plans here. So it's got a good drop-off area, you've got a protected play area, and you may or may not know, we've had a little bit of an issue with having a child daycare, whether it be in a strip shopping center or anything. To me, this meets all the requirements that we would require for a daycare center, okay? As long as you meet all the requirements of the state of Missouri, and you said you had 5 full-time staff for 20 children?
Yes.
Sounds like a wonderful ratio. I'm your councilman there, you need anything, give me a holler, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Hinkie. Mr. Parson?
Thank you, Mr. President. Hello, how are you this evening?
Hi, I'm good.
All right, I just have one question. I wanted to know what your plans are for the play area. I have a picture that's enclosed in the documents that I have, but I mean, you can't really see around the fencing. So is there something within the fencing that you're planning on doing, or are you removing the fencing? How are you going to develop the play area?
No, the playground would be inside the fence.
Okay, and how much, I mean, what, are you going to have like equipment there for the kids to play? Because it doesn't seem like a whole lot of space. That's
According to Missouri regulations, there's plenty of space actually. I believe it's 45 square feet per child.
Okay, so is there going to be like
Or 35 outdoor, yeah.
Going to be like a jungle gym there, or
Little
what?
jungle gym, some riding toys. I actually meet with the state liaison Monday, and she'll be more specific as to what she wants me to have.
Okay, okay. And I see is this a shed within?
There's
that
a shed
fencing?
and a garage.
Are you removing that, or
No.
is that saying? No. So even with the shed there's still enough space for the play area?
The shed is way in the back. It's closer
Okay.
to the police department than the fence.
Okay, maybe I'm looking at the wrong picture.
So you should see the shed next to the parking spots.
Okay, this shed right here?
That's the fence.
Okay, and there's something on the inside, or is that part of the building?
That's the day room.
Okay, okay, all right. All righty, okay. And what are your proposed hours for your daycare going to be?
6:30 to 6.
6:30 to 6.
And that would be before and after care.
All right, sounds good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Parson. Mr. Egan?
Thank you very much. I see that staff recommended a barrier, a 15-foot landscape buffer, or a site-proof fence between the police department and your property. Is that something you're agreeable to?
I believe that was recommended and discussed among the council, and they recommended that I didn't need it. What they did want was a barrier between the building and the residence next door, and I believe that's on the south side of the property.
And is that something you're going to comply with, or is already?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this public hearing? Seeing none. Mr. Hinkie moves to close the public hearing, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it, motion carried, public hearing is closed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next one is public hearing number 1908017.
In accordance with Section 405-310 of the Florissant Zoning Code, a public hearing will be held by the City Council of Florissant, Missouri in the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, August 12, 2019 at 7:30 p.m. on the following proposition. To authorize an amendment to special use permit number 8398 to allow for the expansion of an existing restaurant bar in a B3 extensive business district for the property located at 125 Flower Valley Shopping Center. Citizens will have an opportunity to be heard. Anyone with special needs should contact the city clerk at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 or TTD 839-5142.
Is the petitioner present?
Diane McNutt.
Can you
Can you hear me?
state your name and your address for the record, please?
Yes, Diane McNutt, and the address is 4576 Bellman Farms, Florissant, Missouri.
Thank you, Diane. Can you explain to the city council and to the public what your plans for at 125 Flower Valley Shopping Center?
There's going to be...
Speak into the
Yeah,
microphone,
can you hear me?
please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hear me okay? We have additional, we're going to have food served, and also a patio connected where they can go smoke on the outside of the
Now, your
kitchen.
hours of operation will be?
Same as the other, from 3 to 1:30.
3 to 1:30? 3 o'clock in the
Yes.
afternoon to 1:30?
Yeah,
in
to
the evening?
1:30.
Now, would you be serving food the whole time
Yes,
until 1:30?
yes.
Mr. Siam?
Thank you, Mr. President. I was going to ask about the hours of operation, so that's good. I was also going to ask, there's a dividing wall between 125 and 129, and I was going to ask, are you going to keep that wall and just have it put in a door, or are you going to just remove that wall completely? I just kind of getting an idea of what it looks like.
We're going to keep the wall.
Okay.
Okay, and they'll be able to enter from another door.
Okay.
That wall will be for now.
Okay, sure. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Siam. Mr.
Okay.
Egan?
Thank you very much. Are you preparing food on site?
Yes.
Okay, I guess I'm not seeing on the map where the kitchen is proposed to be.
It's, well, we need to put it up.
Can you put it up on the?
Yeah, we need to put it up on this.
Can you put it up on the screen? Is that possible?
Yes.
I don't know why it's green.
Let me see, I can't always see.
I can't see it.
Oh, I see the kitchen. It's in the, I guess, the northeast corner. I see you have a DJ booth. Are you currently running music there on weekends or at night?
Yes.
And with no problems from neighbors, keeping the doors shut when it gets late at night so we don't make too much noise?
No, because we previously, with the previous one, it hasn't been any problems. So.
Correct.
Yeah, it's been nice. Solid. You don't hear a lot of noise.
And all your food prep will be done inside and not outside, correct?
Yes, inside.
Okay. Good luck. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Egan.
Okay.
Before we close this public hearing, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this public hearing? Seeing none, Mr. Siam moves to close the public hearing, second by Mr. Parson. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion is carried. Public hearing is closed.
Okay.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you, guys. Okay.
Next one, public hearing number 1908017.
Notice is hereby given in accordance with Section 405-135 of Florissant Zoning Code, the zoning ordinance as amended, that a public hearing will be held by the City Council of the City of Florissant, St. Louis County, Missouri, in the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, August 12, 2019, at 7:30 p.m. on the following proposition. To issue an amendment to B5 ordinance number 7073 to allow for a carryout restaurant for the property located at 8239 North Lindbergh. Citizens and parties of interest will have an opportunity to be heard at said public hearing. Anyone with special needs should contact the city clerk at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 or TDD 839-5142.
Is the petitioner present? State your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Frank Shalari, 14 West 3rd Street, Kansas City, Missouri, 64105.
Okay, Frank, explain what you want to do to carry out restaurant.
Yes, we are putting in a delivery and carry-out only Pizza Hut in the vacant space that is next to the Boost Mobile. We'll be putting up a demising wall between, currently the space is one big space. We'll be subdividing that and putting the Pizza Hut on one side will have a vacant space, and then the Boost Mobile will remain existing.
So you're just going to have carry-out
Correct. No dining, no seating.
and no dine, just carry-out and delivery only?
Correct.
Now, will you be, yeah, there's plenty of parking there for your employees, for your delivery men?
Correct. Yes.
Mr. Egan?
Thank you. We've had that opportunity to speak on the phone. It's good to see you in person.
Likewise.
Here's my big question is, how does this interplay, or does it interplay with the Pizza Hut that's a standalone restaurant about a block away or so? Can you explain that to me?
It's my understanding that will eventually be shut down.
Are they going to continue delivering and pickups at the same time?
Not at that location. Everything will shift to the new store.
Okay, very good. Do you have any plans in the future for a sit-down site at that store or at that location?
No.
Okay. And what times are you guys open to?
I believe it is. That's a corporate question, but I believe it typically it's about midnight.
All right. That's not a drive-through in there. You're not proposing a drive-through or a window pickup?
No.
All right. Good luck. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. Yeah, I know Pizza Hut is basically, they're closing all of their sit-down restaurants throughout the United States.
Yeah, we're the architects for a lot of them, and that's the plan. Yes.
Okay. For this hearing, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this public hearing? Seeing none, Mr. Egan makes a motion, we close the public hearing, second by myself. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Public hearing is closed. Next one, public hearing number 1908020.
Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the City Council of the City of Florissant, Missouri, in the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, August 12, 2019, at 7:30 p.m. on the following proposition: to amend and update the zoning code in order to allow for medical marijuana establishments as permitted uses in certain zoning districts. Citizens and parties of interest will have an opportunity to be heard at said public hearing. Anyone with special needs should contact the city clerk at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 or TDD 839-5142.
Would you like me to do it up at the podium or over here?
You could do it there, Mr. Hessel.
Perfect. As we discussed during the executive session, the constitutional amendment number 2 provides that the city cannot prohibit medical marijuana facilities, which include dispensaries, manufacturing, testing, and cultivation. When this initially came before the City Council, the staff recommended to Planning and Zoning Commission that they be treated as permitted uses, and we recommended that there be a 750-foot distance from churches, schools, and daycares. After doing some analysis of the maps, that's how we arrived at that conclusion. One of the reasons why we recommended that they be treated as permitted uses rather than special uses is because the City Council going through this process really does identify the locations which they find to be acceptable, at least in theory. That's really a critical evaluation for purposes of special use permits. So we recommended that they be treated as permitted uses. And again, reasonable people can differ on this. This is purely a policy determination. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended that all of the different marijuana facilities be treated as special use permits. They recommended that dispensaries be limited to being not greater than 300 feet from a church, school, or excuse me, being within 300 feet of a church, school, or daycare, and 750 feet for the manufacturing, testing, and cultivation. The council approved that text on June 10th. Well, excuse me, they approved it following a public hearing that was held on June 10th by passing Ordinance 8519, and that's currently the law in the city of Florissant, that in order to be considered for a medical marijuana facility, and you have 3 this evening which deal with dispensaries, they cannot be within 300 feet of a church, school, or daycare. There was some urgency expressed by the applicants because it is their belief that they have to submit their application with council approval of their location on or before, I'm going to say it's August 19th, but it's somewhere in that range. Candidly, staff took this as an opportunity to ask Planning and Zoning to revisit the issue because this is the kind of circumstances that we were trying to avoid when we recommended that they be treated as a permitted use. So Planning and Zoning did in fact recommend approval of the 3 special use permit applications that are on the agenda later on this evening. We took it as an opportunity to have Planning and Zoning revisit the issue as to whether or not they should be treated as permitted uses or special uses, and Planning and Zoning did agree that they should be treated as permitted uses, and that's why you have the proposed text amendment before you this evening. They also, however, indicated that in their opinion, the distance should be limited to 100 feet from a church, school, or daycare rather than the 300 feet proposed by staff. Staff still believes that the 300 feet is a more appropriate restriction, but again, reasonable people can differ on that. And again, that's just for the dispensaries. Planning and Zoning continued with the 750-foot restriction for the manufacturing, testing, and cultivation, and also recommended they be treated as a permitted use. They also recommended that in addition to the B3 zoning district, that they be allowed in a B2 zoning district. So you have a recommendation from Planning and Zoning and legislation proposing that amendment. Again, with all due respect to the Planning and Zoning Commission, it is still staff's recommendation that the permitted uses for dispensaries be limited, have a restriction of 300 feet from a church, school, or daycare, and 700 feet for the manufacturing, testing, and cultivation. We have maps that have been handed out to the City Council that will show the different locations that result from the differences of opinion as far as Planning and Zoning and the staff is concerned, and I know Phil will walk you through that. And after he's concluded making that presentation to you, again, it is our recommendation that you amend the agenda to bring Bill 9522 up for consideration immediately following this public hearing, that the council act upon it. Obviously, it would require 3 readings, so it would require unanimous approval, at least of the consideration of the bill as proposed by Planning and Zoning or the substitute bill proposed by staff. Of course, it would not require a unanimous decision. In other words, the City Council could differ on this, and you could provide whatever amendments that you deem to be most appropriate. So, Phil, with that, if you would identify what the effect is of the 300-foot buffer and the 100-foot buffer, et cetera.
Okay. You're looking at the map now of the dispensary map, medical marijuana dispensaries with the 300-foot buffers faintly showing, it's green on my map, but I think it's kind of gray on the screen. Those are kind of oval shapes. And the current, represents the current ordinance for dispensaries. The dark red parcels, there are 187 parcels in the B3, and we've included the B5 zoning districts that currently allow B3 permitted uses in them, because if you have a dispensary in a B3, then it would be permitted in that B5 because that B5 allows B3. So again, that number is 187 parcels. This is the same map with B2 added, and I'll add, staff's not that greatly concerned about adding B2 to the mix because it does contain this one property down here on Halls Ferry, the one with the bowling alley in it, shopping center with the bowling alley. Everyone's familiar with that other bowling alley that was annexed at some time ago. A lot of these properties were annexed into the city some time ago when they were just brought into similar zoning districts from the county, and we matched them up with our Florissant ordinances, and this one became B2, although B2 is technically central business district, and this is far from the center of town. So the other B2s that you'll find are bordering the historic district.
Hard to work without no thumb, man.
Sorry, I busted my thumb. So there's a couple of properties here. This is the the Florissant Road curve. And so you'll find at the end, one end of our historic district would be the Alteration Store, Keith Took's Donut Shop, Old Town Donuts, and the dentist over here. And then just a couple of properties down on Harrison Street at the other end of the historic district are actually the original central business district zonings called, so we're not that concerned about adding B2. B2, that would, if we add B2, it jumps up from 187 parcels to only 202 parcels, so that's not that much of a difference. Then we have a map showing the recommendation from Planning and Zoning is to reduce the shaded areas. I'm sorry, the audience, you can't see very well the shaded areas, only when they're standing alone by themselves. They're pretty light gray. If we reduced, as the Planning and Zoning is recommending to the City Council, to 100-foot buffer for medical marijuana dispensaries and included the B2s, then we get 247 parcels. And again, these parcels don't represent addresses because a lot of them are shopping centers with a lot of addresses in them.
Mm-hmm.
So these are just parcels. We haven't found out quite how many addresses because that's a longer process than counting the parcels. And then finally, the map that has not changed is the location of 750-foot buffer for medical marijuana manufacturing, testing, and cultivation. Cultivation would only be out here by the Missouri River in the NU district. And Industrial Drive is the manufacturing area. And then one other, which I think this is really Uncle Bob's, is still zoned industrial. So those are the only two industrial districts that we have, and that would be for testing and manufacturing, as well as cultivation.
Mr. Lem, during the executive session, questions were asked primarily by Councilmember Egan as to if the City Council elected to increase the buffer from 300 feet to 750, would that impact the three applicants in any manner, meaning those, that is the special use permit for 225 Dunn, to be located on Dunn Road, as well as the one located for Mocan Cure at 8454 North Lindbergh, and the one for Robust Holdings at 444 Howdershell?
The only ones that are close are Mocan Cure. It looks like I don't know if you can see that line, but there's a church property here. Mocan Cure is here, and this is the distance, so it's okay, 821 feet. The other facility, though, it's very, very, very close. The 444 Howdershell, wasn't exactly sure where the centroid of this property was. It's in this area. So this is, I'd say, plus or minus 10 or 15, maybe 20 feet. I elected to dimension from pretty much, if you're familiar with this shopping center, this Max's Meats is down here, and this is Howdershell over here, and this is approximate location of the centroid, and then there's a daycare center right here. Well, just centering that in that corner, I get 756 feet. So it really is going to come down to a matter of feet for the one on Howdershell. Because the floor plan...
And what about the one on Dunn Road?
The one on Dunn Road's fine.
Okay.
At 750.
And Lindbergh?
And Lindbergh, it looks like it's okay also. This is the floor plan of the odd shape in the corner for the one on Howdershell.
This is the text amendment, Phil. We don't need to get into floor plan.
Right. I just wanted to point out I couldn't tell exactly where in that in that crotch that floor plan fit. Because the ordinance currently says the centroid of that store.
Again, staff's recommendation is still the 300-foot buffer for the dispensaries.
Staff is still recommending to remain at 300 feet for the dispensaries and 750
for cultivation.
everything else.
Correct.
Mr. Egan.
Thank you. My question has to do more procedures this evening, and I can live with the 300-foot barrier personally. But my question is, are we compelled to have to approve 3 readings on the three proposals that are in front of us, or just on this?
If the city council passed the bill pertaining to this text amendment.
Correct.
Which is 9522, I believe.
9522.
Then the public hearings and the legislation associated with those public hearings become moot. They would all be issued permits based upon the fact that they would be a permitted use.
And then they would not have the problems with the time constraints.
Correct.
And if I'm correct, that just because we issue or we change this does not mean that they're necessarily coming in. They still have a myriad of issues to address, and then there's permits that are being issued for congressional districts and such like that?
Correct.
Okay.
And they have to be approved by the Department of Health and Senior Services, and they're limited in number. Again, I don't know the precise number they're going to be throughout the state, but the indication is there'll be 1 per congressional district at most.
Very good, thank you. You've really cleared this up.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. Mr. Hinkie.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Joe touched on, John, thank you for the answer. I wanted a clarification just for the audience, I guess, that it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. Obviously, there's no use of the product at any of these locations, in or near, outside these locations. I think everybody knows that, but I want to clarify for the public hearing. And also,
absolutely true, Mr. Henke.
And also the fact that we have 3 public hearings on them tonight, but I think you said these are going to be few and far between in the state of Missouri. The fact that we have 3 applications and the fact that we have all these parcels that may possibly be eligible in no uncertain terms is not going to be, and this is a guess, a speculation, but I would sincerely doubt that we would even get to 3 that are requested tonight because of my understanding is possibly 200 statewide.
Correct.
Okay, so a little clarification just for the public hearing. Right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Hinkie. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was looking and wondering about dance centers. Are those included in a concerned place that these would be near? Because I believe there is an LA Dance Center in that.
With regard to the state regulation, I'd have to ask Mr. Hessel.
Dance centers were not included.
Okay, just because I want to make sure.
The Constitution amendments are daycare, churches, schools.
Okay. Some of the dance centers do daycare type of functions, but I guess that they're a dance center, not a daycare. So.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Mr. Shuldroff.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Hessel clarified some of the points that I wanted to ask about. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shuldroff. Mr. Parson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I just want clarification on what the staff is recommending. I want to make sure that I have it correct. You guys were recommending that there be a permitted use, that not only are B3s allowed, but B2s in terms of zoning, the 300-foot buffer for dispensaries, and 750 for the buffer for manufacturing. Is that exactly what staff is recommending today?
That is our recommendation. That's
yes,
correct.
Sir.
Okay, thank you.
And then we can just use the maps and say, yep, you can go here, or no, you can't.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Parson. Mr. Jones.
And do I have to make a motion, or can we go ahead and follow what's on our guidelines already?
What we need to do is close the public hearing. Obviously, there's citizens may want to comment. Close the public hearing. Then it would require a motion to amend the agenda to bring forward Bill 9522 for consideration. And then you would consider it have to be read 3 times if the council unanimously agrees to have it read 3 times. And then if it votes in favor of making these text amendments, which again then would make these medical marijuana facilities a permitted use, then it would make moot the request for the special use permits, because they don't need a special use permit. They'd be a permitted use.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Hinky.
And John, 9522 would, as written, incorporates the staff's recommendations.
No, sir. 9522 is planning and zoning. You'd have to make a motion to accept a
To accept the
substitute bill,
recommendations,
which
okay.
we have prepared as well, which is the staff recommendation.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hickey. Mr. Egan.
Yeah, I know you're getting tired of hearing from me tonight. See what happens when you drink too much coffee in the afternoon? One last question, maybe. So you said that the public hearings that we have scheduled would then be moot points and we would not have them?
Correct. If the council passes the legislation.
They'd be permitted, I guess from a personal standpoint, I'd like to find out a little bit about their business, though.
Well, we could certainly talk to them as part of this process, if you'd like to do that and waive Robert's Rules of Order and talk with them.
I'm getting evil stares on the council. I'll move on and we'll move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Egan.
Did not come from me.
Did it? Phil? Yeah. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak on this public hearing? Ma'am, state your name and your address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name's Amber Strick, and I live at 1260 Mallard Lane, Florissant, Missouri, 63031. So I'm here this evening because I, like the other three people here, am also doing medical marijuana dispensary. I have also found my location, which is in the B2 zoning district. When I was originally planning my location, I was looking for 1,000 feet because that's what Missouri requirements originally were. So my location, which is in a B2 zoning district, which is by the Olympiad bowling alley on New Halls Ferry, by the Papa John's, if you're familiar with that area. It's right in the middle of there in that shopping center, and when I was originally looking, it was 982 feet from any school. It's over 1,500 feet from a church or daycare. So I went ahead with the lease. I've signed a 6-month lease to hold the location. All of us need a location in our proposals that's guaranteed for 5 years. So I've already have that. I've already paid the lease with the agreement with Bob Walpert. And therefore I'm here tonight to try to add Zone B2, as he had mentioned. He does have maps about where the 3 locations where they are. They're very small areas. And I've already, like I said, secured a location in the B2 zoning district, and I'm just wanting to hopefully be able to add that to the original ordinance.
Okay. Thank you.
And if you had any questions about dispensaries, I can answer all of them. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll make a motion that we close this public hearing, second by Mr. Hinky. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Public hearing is closed. I will make a motion that we amend the agenda and push forward Bill 9522 and use the recommended staff for the cultivation 750.
Hold on.
Oh, we got it.
You have to introduce the original bill
We
first
have to
and
do
then
the original
move
bill.
for a
Yes, sir.
substitute
Okay.
bill. Well, first off, the motion is to amend the agenda to bring Bill 9522 up for consideration by the City Council.
Second by Mr. Egan. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Now, Karen, you should read it for
Okay, read
first
the
reading.
First reading, okay. Let me find it first. It's way down here.
It's way down there.
It's way down there. Okay, there it is. Ordinance amending various sections of Chapter 405, the zoning code, to allow for medical and marijuana-related uses.
Now, someone should move for a second.
Mr. Jones moves for a second reading, second by Ms. Pagano.
Now that you have the motion and the second, I would ask that someone make a motion to offer substitute bill 9522.
Ms. Pagano moves.
For substitute bill?
Make a motion is accept substitute bill. Who seconded it? Mr. Parsons?
Mr. Parsons
Mr.
seconded.
Parsons second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, now you have a motion to accept the substitute bill. That's the bill that's now on the table.
Yes.
Now you need to vote for second reading on the substitute bill.
I'll make a motion for a second reading on the substitute bill, second by Ms. Pagano.
Somebody?
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Karen.
Ordinance amending various sections of Chapter 405, the zoning code to allow for medical marijuana-related uses.
I'll make a motion for a third reading. Second by Ms. Pagano. Roll call, please.
Okay. Shildroth.
Yes.
Hanky.
Yes.
Pagano. Parson.
Yes.
Siam. Harris. Jones. Egan. Caputa.
Yes.
Ordinance amending various sections of Chapter 405, the zoning code to allow for medical marijuana-related uses.
For purpose of clarity, Mr. President, again, this would establish the buffer at 300 feet for dispensaries, and it would be a permitted use, both in the B3 and the B2 zoning district. And likewise, you would be amending the code to allow the manufacturing, testing, and cultivation facilities as being permitted uses with the distance, a buffer of 750 feet from churches, schools, and daycares.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak on this bill? Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council.
Shildroth.
Yes.
Hanky.
Yes.
Pagano. Parson. Siam. Harris. Jones. Egan. Caputa.
Yes. Substitute Bill 9522 passes and becomes ordinance 8538.
8536.
Oh, yeah, that's 36. Got my numbers wrong. 8536.
I don't want to waste anybody's time, Mr. President, but you will need to open each one of the next public hearings just to announce that the issue has become moot because they no longer need a special use permit, that they are a permitted use, so that's part of the record going forward. So years from now, when we forgot what we did, we'll be able to go back and remember.
I still got to read all three of them, too?
I'm sorry?
I still have to read all three of them, too, don't I?
Just the notice.
Okay.
Public hearing number 1908019.
In accordance with Section 405, 310 of the Florissant Zoning Code, a public hearing will be held by the City Council of Florissant, Missouri, and the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, August 12, 2019, at 7:30 p.m. on the following proposition: to authorize a special use permit to 225 Dunn LLC to allow for a medical marijuana dispensary in a B3 zoning district for the property located at 225 Dunn. Citizens will have an opportunity to be heard. Anyone with special needs should contact the city clerk at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 or TDD 839-5142.
And again, for purposes.
I'll make a motion that we.
Don't need to do anything, just for purpose of the public hearing, just announce that this is a moot point. The council need not take any action on it because it's no longer relevant. They are permitted uses and not special uses, so no
we don't have
vote
to
is
open
required.
it and close it? Okay.
We've opened it, we've made the announcement, and now you can close it.
Do we need to make a motion to close it? No.
If you would like, if that makes you feel better, sure.
Public hearing number 1908021.
Onward, here we go. In accordance with Section 405, 310 of the Florissant Zoning Code, a public hearing will be held by the City Council of Florissant, Missouri, in the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, August 12, 2019, at 7:30 p.m. on the following proposition: to authorize a special use permit to Mocan Cure 2 LLC to allow for a medical marijuana dispensary in a B3 zoning district for the property located at 8454 North Lindbergh. Citizens will have an opportunity to be heard. Anyone with special needs should contact city clerk at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 TDD 839-5142.
Same announcement, the application for the special use permit from Mocan Cure Roman numeral 2 LLC is not necessary. It's a moot point. The applicant can apply for the permitted use that has now been authorized by the City Council.
Public hearing number 1908022.
In accordance with Section 405, 310 of the Florissant Zoning Code, a public hearing will be held by the City Council of Florissant, Missouri, in the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, August 12, 2019, at 7:30 p.m. on the following proposition: to authorize a special use permit to Robust Holdings, Missouri, LLC, to allow for a medical marijuana dispensary in a B3 zoning district for the property located at 444 Howdershell Road. Citizens will have an opportunity to be heard. Anyone with special needs should contact the city clerk at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 or TDD 839-5142.
Same announcement for purposes of this public hearing, that is that the application for the special use permit filed by Robust Holdings Missouri LLC is not necessary. It is a permitted use, and they are able to apply for the permitted use in accordance with the ordinance that the council just passed.
Congratulations, gentlemen, ladies. You're in.
Okay.
Okay. Good luck. Yeah. Next item is old business. Bills for a second reading. Bill number 9515. Councilman Hinkie moves for a second reading, second by myself. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Ordinance to authorize an amendment to special use permit number 8394 as amended to Smoke and Sip LLC to allow for the enclosure of a patio and pergola for the cigar bar for the property located at 411 Rue St. Francois.
Move for third.
Councilman Hinkie moves for a third reading, second by Mr. Shildroff. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Ordinance to authorize an amendment to special use permit number 8394 as amended to Smoke and Sip LLC to allow for the enclosure of a patio and pergola for the cigar bar for the property located at 411 Rue St. Francois.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this bill? Good evening, Anthony.
Anthony Bolson, 132 Robbins Way, Florissant. On the bill, there was some language in there, Gerard, about times of operations and close. Is that still a part of that amendment?
No, we were in discussion of some possible further discussion.
We did.
Yeah, that was never.
Correct me, Mr. Hessel, but what all we're talking about is the
Pergola.
enclosure correct now, the pergola.
No, I think we did add it.
Or did we add
The conditions state that customers should not be allowed in the enclosed patio area after 10 p.m. on Sunday through Thursday or after 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday nights. And that no music shall be piped in or otherwise played on the patio. Then the other two obviously deal with the enclosure.
So, yes.
So that's the conditions, and I'm
On the
totally.
final bill, yes.
The final bill, and I'm totally against that because that restricts our operation. And then I guess my next question would be, does that just apply to Smoke and Sip, or does that apply to everybody that has a patio in the historic district?
No, this hearing was specifically for Smoke and Sip.
So we can draft a bill to regulate the times that we can play music and use our patio versus what everybody else can do.
Well, it depends on the amount of complaints. If there's complaints, this.
I'm just asking a question, I ain't
And
trying
I'm
to
giving
debate.
you the answer. This is a product of the complaints that we're receiving, okay? And we went through all that, we're not gonna go over it again, because we talked about how many complaints, different various establishments, blah, 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 in the area. These exceptions here were a product of those complaints with the number of complaints.
Then I feel like we're being singled out and discriminated against. That's how I feel.
Conditions are, it's very common for this city council to impose conditions based upon the location of the business and other factors that come into play. When you're issued a special use permit, it isn't one size fits all. Conditions can be imposed on this use different than conditions are imposed on other uses. City council has the discretion in making that determination. That's what a special use permit is all about. You look at the location and you determine which special conditions are going to be imposed in order to allow this special use. It's not singling anybody out, except that everybody's different.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Mayor?
Yeah, I just want to address that. I do believe that Handel's has a 10 o'clock curfew on music.
Probably.
They have to go by and abide by. So it's 10 o'clock for music at Handel's on their patio.
Wouldn't surprise me, Mayor, that there's a lot of different uses, particularly in outdoor patio areas in which the hours and the utilization of that patio areas are different. Like you said, Hendel's is 10 o'clock, this is 11 o'clock, something else might be a different time. It all depends upon the particular location. This is not something unusual. This is very common to impose those conditions applicable to a particular location.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under the conditions, number 6 talks about the hours of use of the patio. And then number 7 says no music shall be piped in or otherwise played on the patio. Are we talking about during those hours or at all, anytime?
It says no music shall be piped in or otherwise played on the patio. It's not limited in hours. It says no music. So the answer is it's not allowed on the patio.
We brought up Hendel's there. I wonder, was there an intention to do it that way, or is that written correctly in here? Do we know? This is written correctly, how we intended it then?
We wrote it based upon what we heard. If
Okay.
the majority of the city council wants to alter it.
Just wanted to clarify that that's how it was intended.
So the way this the bill is, he can't have no music on the patio at all, no matter what time of day it is? If it's on a Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, can't have music?
Correct.
I think we need to look at that and change that for time-wise. I mean, on a Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there's music everywhere.
Somebody needs to make a motion to amend it.
What time would be I make a motion, we amend it and talk about what time would be a good time for them to have his music on his patio. I can understand at night, late, like at 10 o'clock or whatever, but 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I think that's...
I'll second the motion.
And you're in discussion. We have a motion and a second.
There's a motion to amend that, the time.
Tell us what the time is.
But we need to discuss. Second by Mr. Jones.
Well, you don't have a full motion on the floor yet. You have, for purposes of discussion, you have a motion to amend subsection 7 to allow music at an undefined period of time. Just tell us what time you want to allow, and then make a motion that no music shall be piped in or otherwise played on the patio after.
I still have a green light here.
Jones.
Can I finish my comment?
What time is Hendel's? Does anybody know?
My understanding it's 10 o'clock.
At 10 o'clock.
But the way this is set
That's
up
not
now,
true, actually,
we're
they're
making
open later than that. It's just the music.
I don't think it's fair to have, he can't have music on the patio at all. I can understand late at night, that's different, but during the day, like on a Saturday afternoon, even or a Sunday afternoon for that matter.
Mr. Harris didn't finish.
I would prefer, just looking at it, this is myself, to strike number 7 about the music, because we're already limiting the time that anyone can be on the patio. So if the concern is music at night, and we're restricting even being on the patio at night, then maybe we don't need to restrict the music. And we already have ordinances related to noise or music anyway. So my preference and idea would be to move to strike number 7, that no music shall be piped in or otherwise played on the patio.
Mr. Parson.
Yes, I'm sorry. I just think in terms of dealing with this, if we are restricting the time limit that they can use their business when we're not consistently restricting it for other people that have patios in that business district, I don't believe that that's fair. And I also believe that Jeff's point about them not being able to have music on a Saturday afternoon, I don't think that's fair either. If we were going to do anything to restrict time in terms of music and having people on patios. I think it should be something that's along the line for the whole business district instead of piecemealing it, one business here and there. So because of that, I'm not really in favor of the bill as it is right now.
Ms. Pagano?
I don't know. I can see this both ways, and seeing the people who live there who have come up and complained about the noise. And I'm just saying, if I had company over and every Saturday there was music playing, I may have a problem with it. With that being said, I understand his point. I'm sort of up in the air on this one, depending on what kind of music is it. Is it going to be an every weekend event? But I might just, if I want to sit outside on my deck, with a couple people and talk, I don't know if I want to have music blasting every Saturday and Sunday. That's just, how I feel. But then I understand the commercial, people want something on St. Francis Street. This is what we ask for. They want it built up. This is like almost a no-win situation. We want it, they want it like Main Street, St. Charles, they want to come out. I was just in Chicago this weekend and saw it on their streets. And it is, and it's very cool. But someone's going to have to be inconvenienced when it happens. We have to decipher what do we want? Do we want economic development? Do we want people to come in and enjoy our streets? Where's the happy median? I don't know. I mean, I go to places that outside seating with music, and I thoroughly enjoy it in the springtime. So I'm sulk on this one, to tell you the truth. But I'm voting now on. I was voting on a tent, or in addition to the building. And I think that maybe if the music gets out of hand, as I said at the last public hearing, if the music gets out of hand, maybe then we address the music. But I believe that he came before us just asking for an enclosure, and somehow we got off to noise. To me, I'm voting on an enclosure. Can we bring up the noise at a different time? John, I'm not sure. What do you do? If you get so many complaints, how do you do that with a business to say, hey, we've got to put a stop to it? Can we do it then?
Well, you can't do it, you can't amend the special use permit other than when an applicant comes before you. So tonight is the night in which you make determinations as to the hours of operation for the patio area, as well as whether or not there's going to be music allowed there at all, or music allowed during certain hours. This is the time to do it.
But if we're having, okay, let's just say he's a new business, and he comes in and he sees this building, but he wants outside. We know nothing about it. We've never had a complaint. Would we be voting just on the enclosure then? Are we voting saying, well, we're anticipating there's going to be noise?
Well, we've done that. Hendel's is an example. You did that and imposed a restriction on the use of Hendel's. We've done that with it. I can't cite to you because I haven't studied up on all the ordinances that you all have passed, but when an application comes before you in the form of a special use permit, you impose conditions and restrictions in order to avoid problems in the future. That's what we do.
Chief Fagan wants to say something on this matter.
Good evening. As you all know, this has been an ongoing issue for us, whether it's Smoke and Sip, whether it's Bunkers, whether it's Hendel's, the noise is a problem. And I just want to point out an aspect of this, which is peace disturbance doesn't have a time on it. Your peace can be disturbed at 12 in the afternoon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or 1 o'clock in the morning. And so the issue that we have in front of us is if a business has music outside and it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon and it's disturbing someone's peace and they're coming forward without regulations from the city, to say that that music is unacceptable to me because I have my family on the patio or because I'm trying to sleep because I work the midnight watch, this becomes an issue for us. And we're forced into a position where we enforce the law, right, which is a peace disturbance ordinance. They're saying that this noise is loud, we can hear the noise, and it's disturbing their peace. So it is a difficult situation that does require some guidance. Because if we don't have any guidance at all in reference to this, it's very simple. They put a band or they put a stereo on their patio and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and it's disturbing a resident who's sleeping. They call the police department and we're forced into a position where we have to take that person as a victim of a peace disturbance. So it's a difficult situation that does require some sort of guidance. To leave it open-ended is going to continue what we already know is a problem. I mean, we know this is an issue and it's an ongoing issue and it's been an issue for the department for some time. We're trying our best to balance between the business needs and uses as well as the residents, but it's a difficult situation for us. So again, keep in mind, peace disturbance doesn't have a time limit on it. It can occur at any time of the day or any time of the evening. So it does complicate the situation, I understand, but again, it's something that probably needs some consideration by all of you as to how it is that we want to proceed, as Ms. Pagano said. You know, what is the goal of that area in St. Francis and the balance between the residents and the businesses?
Thank you, Chief.
And to your point, Chief, there's actually 2 ordinances that address it. One is peace disturbance that the Chief mentioned, and there's no time restriction. It's when anyone unreasonably knowingly disturbs or alarms another person or persons by loud noise. Similarly, under noise is prohibited, it's unlawful for any person to willfully make or continue or cause to be made or continued any loud, unnecessary, unusual noise which disturbs the neighborhood, peace, comfort, or repose of persons. The standards you can consider would be the volume of the noise, the intensity of the noise, the nature of the noise, the origin of the noise, is it natural or unnatural, the volume and intensity of the background noise, the proximity of the noise to the residential sleeping facilities, the nature and zoning of the area in which the noise emanates, the density of the inhabitants and the time of day or night, which those are all the factors that come into play, as well as duration, things of that nature. So if you don't put, and again, it's up to the city council to determine whether or not you want to limit the use of the enclosed patio area and or limit the piping or otherwise playing of music. If the council doesn't address it in this special use permit, then the police department will have to address it through the issuance of summonses.
Mr. Hinkie.
Thank you, Mr. President. We've been over this and over this and over this. I've talked to Tony personally. How many times, Tony? I understand lifting the restrictions. In fact, sitting here now, let's separate the issues out. I'm with you, Mr. Hessel. If we put no restrictions, no time restrictions, no noise restrictions, okay? No patio restrictions, because it comes forward as a noise complaint, disturbing the peace complaint. So if we put no restrictions on it and the complaints still come in, we don't restrict the patio, we don't restrict the hours, then the noise complaints will deal with this issue down the road. And Tony, I know you've said you've been dealing with it, and I think you've had some success of late. But I understand, I don't want to muddy up the waters now anymore with the bill to where we're voting on restricting the business when what we want to do is handle the noise complaints. Perhaps we'll just put this as an option, and I want the restrictions, but I don't want to muddy the bill up. Let's put it on with no restrictions, and if we have the complaints continue, then they will be addressed however they are addressed, whether it be the police department, and at some future point down the road, we have to restrict this business. I don't know, Mr. Hessel, some guidance.
The ordinance already contained, get the ordinance in front of you and read it. It already contains 2 restrictions, 6 and 7.
Right.
6 dealing with the utilization of the enclosed patio area, and 7 dealing with music. If you want to eliminate those, then someone needs to make a motion to remove subsection 6 from section 1 of the ordinance, and then vote on that, and then similarly remove section 7, or modify them however the council wants to do it.
I'll make a motion that we remove no music on line 7, should be piped in, and the music has to be at the 10 o'clock time limit.
There's lights on down here, Jeff.
Mr. Egan.
This business, this is our chance, our bite at the apple. The chief of police has just come to us and said, it hasn't been working, what's going on hasn't been working, and it's not going to work. We're going to continue issuing summonses. We need some guidelines. I also understand that the gentleman wants to have music on his patio, and I agree, you should have music on his patio, but I think it should be reasonable. I would offer that on my patio at home, everyone goes in at 10 o'clock at night. I think that's reasonable. I actually would like 9 during the week, but I could live with 10 during the week. But I don't think that I think by removing these 2, 6, and 7, we've just continue what we have. We have a real problem. We have a real reason. We have a real ability to solve this evening, or to at least tell our citizens we've looked at it and here's what we've done. I would prefer us allowing them to have music till 10 o'clock and see how that works. That's just my opinion. I'll see how the votes go.
Excuse me, Joe, what was that, Mr. Egan?
I would like to see, and I'll make the motion, but there's already a motion on the table. I would like to see them, like Handel's, have music allowable till 10 p.m. on their patio. And we're not singling anyone out. Handel's is under a restriction for 10 o'clock. I think it's fair to give them 10 o'clock restriction. That way, if they play it after 10 o'clock, the chief of police has something to go with. That's just my opinion.
So there's a motion made by Councilmember Egan. Now you need to determine if there's a second to that motion.
That's what my motion was.
Mr. President,
to
you
just
didn't-
delete number 7, line 7 on there, and leave the restrictions on it, just to allow the music.
I understand, but you didn't get a second to that motion. Under Robert
Mr.
Rules-
Jones seconded.
Oh, I didn't hear Mr. Jones. I apologize. Okay. So there's a motion on the floor to eliminate the condition
Line 7.
that prohibits music.
On the patio. Okay. You have a motion?
All in favor?
Wait a minute now.
Yeah.
Say that again, Mr. Hessel, please.
You're going to eliminate condition number 7, which reads, no music shall be piped in or otherwise played on the patio.
Number 6 stays.
And we leave and number 6 stays. That was my
that's
intention
right
all
now.
along.
Understood.
Just to allow the music on the patio until their time at 10 o'clock and 11.
That would be the effect of it. That's correct.
That's what my original motion was, and it was seconded by Mr. Jones.
Yes and no, but
Actually, I heard you say after 10 o'clock.
I want to go to 10 o'clock.
I won't
Well,
quibble
one
on
of
it.
them is after 10, it's 11.
That kind of got muddy. But, okay.
I believe the
To
motion
leave
on
it-
the
to
floor.
leave number 6 in, Mr. Hessel, and just.
I'm just trying to make sure that we're following the right procedure. There's a motion on the floor to remove condition number 7.
Here's the bill.
Correct.
And that was made and seconded.
Second by Mr. Jones.
Do you want any more discussion?
We do roll call.
Well, you probably
Don't-
need more discussion.
There's more. Mr. Parson,
This is on the motion.
On the motion.
on the motion.
Repeat the motion.
All in favor?
Wait,
Wait, am I going to get to say something?
Is there discussion on the motion? You have to allow discussion on the motion. You had a motion and
Motion to remove
second.
number
Discussion.
All right.
Robert?
Yeah, Mr. President, I understand what you're saying, and I'm
I'm okay
partially
with this one.
the way there with you. But I still believe that the music issue should be handled separately. They came forward to try to do an enclosure for the patio. And I think Jackie was correct in stating that we've kind of gone down a road that it wasn't intended initially. If I'm totally fine if the council wants to make some blanket ordinance about music stopping at 10 o'clock for that business district. I'm not opposed to that. What I am opposed to is not being consistent with this ordinance. And because of that, I can't follow you on just removing 7. I think 6 and 7 needs to be removed. And then we revisit the issue in regards to music with a different bill.
If I may, you need to take them one at a time. You have a motion pending as to 7. Now, Robert, if you want to make a motion after this one's acted upon to remove 6, then you get to do that.
Okay, all right.
But you take them one step
One
at a
at a
time,
time.
so there's a logical order to it.
They're still in discussion. They're still in discussion. Still in discussion, correct?
Yes, sir. Well, should we vote?
After discussion.
So we're voting on this?
The
and whether or not
motion is
7
to-
Get reviewed.
The motion is to, I don't know why this is so complicated, folks. The motion
on
is
the
to remove condition number 7, period.
Correct.
That's the only thing pending, and if you want to make a motion addressing 6 when this is over, you can do that.
Okay, understood.
Ms. Pagano.
Again, I'm having a hard time because on St. Francis Street right now, there's other establishments that are playing music in Old Town area, and do I think it's fair to do that? I don't.
Well, the motion is to remove that restriction.
Okay, well, I just don't think that's fair. I mean, that's me.
So you would be voting in favor of the motion?
No, not to.
To remove the restriction, so that music would be allowed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because that's the effect. The effect of this motion would be to allow music on the patio, so everybody is clear.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Which is,
Is that it, Ms. Pagano? Mayor Lauer.
I just want to remind the council is the reason why Tony came before us and has talked about the enclosure is all because of the noise issues, and he's trying to correct the noise issue, and that is why Tony came before us, and that he was trying to work with the city to try to do something about the noise. So to say that the noise should be dealt with later, I don't know that that's correct. No disrespect to anybody, but that is why he brought this before us, or before you guys, was to discuss the noise issue that he has and the complaints that we have, and so it really is about the noise.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Jones.
Maybe we need to withdraw our motions and go to the original motion. I mean, the original thing that it's on our agenda, that is why we are here. And vote on that. If we're going to go any farther, then we can afterwards.
But it's in the ordinance. So you have to remove it from the ordinance in order to be able to pass the ordinance.
That passes, 6 and 7 pass.
I see.
Okay, so we got to address 7 first, and then we can see.
Okay, I'm going to.
All in favor?
What's the motion? Should say the motion.
The motion is to remove line 7 on Bill 9515.
Condition
I made
number
the
7.
motion, Mr. Jones seconded the motion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
All right? So music will be allowed.
Until
patio.
10,
No, I'd like to make a motion on that right now.
okay.
Well,
So now we're going to
keep in
do
mind,
another motion on it. Okay.
To your point, Mr. President, the music will be allowed on the patio to the extent that customers are allowed on the patio, which is item number 6, and customers
Correct.
shall not be allowed in the enclosed patio area after 10 p.m. on Sunday through Thursday and after 11 on Friday and Saturday. So you wouldn't have music out there when there are no customers out there.
That's what that was my whole point.
Right. that's
I
what he
understand.
said.
That's how we got there.
Mr. Egan.
I would like to add a new number 7, and it would read, "No music shall be piped in or otherwise played on the patio after 10 p.m."
10 on the weekdays and 11.
I'll amend my motion to say, "No music shall be piped in or otherwise played on the patio after 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday." Actually, I don't need that.
I'll second that.
We don't need it because that's in the ordinance as of right now, so I withdraw my motion and we'll all move on. We'll all move down the road.
I'll second it. Mr. Parson.
Thank you, Mr. President. According to Mr. Hessel's statement earlier, I'm now making a motion that we remove section or line 6 from the ordinance in regards to time.
There's a motion on the floor to remove the restrictions on line item number 6 on Bill 9515 by Mr. Parsons, second by Mr. Harris.
Roll call, please.
Roll call, please.
Okay. Shildroth.
Yes.
Hanky.
No.
Pagano.
No.
Parson.
Yes.
Siam.
No.
Harris.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Egan.
Nope.
Caputa.
No.
Motion fails.
Motion failed.
Yes.
Motion has failed.
So if there's no more amendments, then
No
you go
more
on-
amendments,
you go
right?
on to
Mr. Egan,
I'm amended up.
you amended out, so you withdraw your amendment?
Yes.
Mr. Egan withdraw. Mr. Harris,
You never actually had one.
I'd like to propose an amendment to number 6, the condition number 6, to disallow music after 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and after 11 p.m. on the weekends, but still allow customers to be on the patio at that time. So I would like to replace number 6 and allowing music up until these times, but disallowing after those times, but still allowing customers on the patio.
Well, Mr. Parson made a motion to remove item number 6. You're effectively doing the same thing by removing condition number 6 and replacing it with allowing music. So if you want to make a motion to add a new condition 7,
Okay.
well, you don't need to, because music is not prohibited. Music can play on the patio, period. So you don't need a motion to
Sure.
allow the playing of music at designated times unless you want to limit the playing of music
That's what he was saying.
on the patio at specified times.
My thought was that somehow there's still some concern about music on the patio, but
Music is
so
allowed
like
to be...
I wonder if the problems that we're having are somehow more attributable to the music, since that was part of this, and that maybe are we really not okay with people not being on the patio, and or is it the music that was the problem? So it's a complex thought, but
I can't answer that question.
Okay.
I'm just the drafter.
it's not a feasible motion.
I'm just the drafter.
Okay.
Karen and I just draft the legislation based upon what we hear the council requesting.
Got
I
it.
hear you requesting that you want to allow music on the patio up until 10 p.m. and 11 p.m., and I'm just simply pointing out that there is no prohibition dealing with music as it currently sits, and that customers are not allowed in the enclosed patio area after 10 p.m. or after 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday.
Sure,
So I think the
I get
music
it.
goes with the customers.
I just thought maybe replacing it might be more palpable to the council, right?
Correct.
But it's slightly different.
Chief?
Not that I want to muddy what is already a complicated issue, but the vast majority, I would say 90% or more of the majority of complaints that come from this particular business does nothing to do with music. It has to do with people, and people being on the patio, and the noise that the people, quite frankly, talking, laughing, and doing what people do on a patio outside of a liquor establishment do. That is the vast majority of the complaints that we receive. So again, I'm not trying to complicate things, but although I understand the music portion and it has been an issue, the vast majority of the complaints have been very specific to the patrons on the patio.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Hinkie.
Yeah, just maybe close this out. We've eliminated number 7, and we've let number 6 stand, and that's where we're at. Call for the question.
Thank you, Mr. Hinkie. Mr. Jones. I'm good, man. All right, Mr. Jones. Mr. Hinkie moves for a third reading. Second by myself. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Ordinance to authorize amendment to special use permit number 8394 as amended to Smoke and Sip LLC to allow for the enclosure of a patio and pergola for the cigar bar for property located at 411 Rue St. Francois.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this bill?
I think we did that already, but okay.
This is a repeat.
Yeah. One more time.
Ray Wilson, I own Bunkers Tavern, 297 Rue St. Francis. I'm confused on when you're talking about time limits on music. I know you're referring to sip and smoke, but if you can play music till 9 or 10 or 11 o'clock and you disturb somebody at 8 o'clock, what good does that do? You understand what I'm saying? I mean, if you're disturbing somebody at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and you can play music till 10 or 11, I don't see the deal. Unless you can change the whole thing for the business district. But we rely on music to make a living, and we can only do it 3 months out of the year. So, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Clerk, please poll the council. Final vote.
Shildroth.
Yes.
Hanky.
No.
Pagano. Yes. Parson.
No.
Siam. No. Harris.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Bill number 9515 passes and becomes ordinance 8537. Next item, new business, board appointments. Mayor? Mr. Shildroth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to reappoint Paul Smith, 1110 St. Bernadette, to the Citizens Participation Committee.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Ms. Shildroth. Mayor?
I'd like to appoint John Jaworski, 13651 Newhalls Ferry, to the Veterans Commission with the term expiring August 5th, 2022.
Move for approval. Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Appointment is made. Next item is requests. Councilman Siam moves to approve a full liquor license by the drink for Chili's Grill and Bar located at 13901 Newhalls Ferry. Second by Ms. Pagano. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Shildroth.
Yes.
Hanky.
Yes.
Pagano. Yes. Parson.
Yes.
Siam.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Yes. Liquor license is approved.
It's the easiest thing to do all night.
Next item is resolution. Resolution number 1011.
Resolution of the City of Florissant supporting a grant application for enhances to Cove Park Splash Pad area.
Ms. Pagano moves for a second reading, second by myself. Is there any discussion? Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. I understand that the grant application is under advisement with the Parks Board, and I think there was a first hearing and a second hearing, and I'm not sure officially how important that is to this process, but I would imagine this is on here because we can approve this before that second hearing occurs this Wednesday evening at the Parks meeting. So I just want to make sure that we don't go forward and if it's not.
Yeah, because the resolution has to be passed by a certain date.
Okay.
So they can proceed with doing.
Okay, so one is not dependent on the other? Okay, thank you.
Our resolution, yes.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution of the City of Florissant supporting grant application for enhances to Coke Park splash pad area.
Ms. Pagano moves for a third, second by Mr. Jones. Roll call, please.
Shildroth.
Yes.
Hanky. Pagano.
Yes.
Parson.
Yes.
Cyan. Yes. Harris.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Yes.
Resolution of the City of Florissant supporting grant application for enhances to the Coke Park splash pad area.
Before the final vote is taken, does anyone in the audience like to speak on this resolution? Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council.
Shildroth.
Yes.
Pagano. Parson. Yes. Cyan. Harris. Jones.
Yes.
Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Yes. Resolution number 1011 passes. Next item is bills for a first reading. Bill number 9515.
9517.
7.
Oh, it sure is.
We're gonna get this, we promise.
I think they brought marijuana in.
What's that say? What's that say? 9515.
Okay.
9517.
7, yes. Ordinance authorizing a transfer of $40,000 from Capital Improvement Fund, account number 035036148, capital additions, to account number 03503300010, equipment repairs and vehicles, to cover anticipated vehicle repair costs for the Public Works Department.
Bill number 9518.
Ordinance to authorize a special use permit to 102 Venue LLC, DBA 102 Venue, to allow for a catered banquet center located at 1815 and 1817 Dunn Road.
Bill number 9519.
Ordinance to authorize a special use permit to Legends Academy LLC, DBA Legends Academy, to allow for a child daycare center at 1645 North New Florissant Road.
Bill number 9520.
Ordinance to authorize an amendment to special use permit number 8398 to allow for the expansion of an existing restaurant bar located at 129 Flower Valley Shopping Center.
Bill number 9521.
Ordinance to amend B5 ordinance number 7073 to allow for a carryout restaurant for the property located at 8239 North Lindbergh.
Mr. President, if I may, you should make a motion to remove bills 9523, 9524, 9525
Correct.
from the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we remove bill number 9523, 9524, and 9525 because they are permitted use.
Correct. Remove.
Need a second.
Second by Ms. Pagano. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Bill number 9526.
Ordinance to authorize a fiscal year 2019 supplemental budget amendment to roll over grant revenue associated with fiscal year 2019 reappropriations of the fiscal year 2018 purchase order rollover.
Move for a second.
Yeah.
Mr. Shildroth moves for a second reading, second by myself. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Ordinance to authorize the fiscal year 2019 supplemental budget amendment to roll over grant revenue associated with fiscal year 2019 reappropriations of the fiscal year 2018 purchase order rollover.
Mr. Shuldorff moves for a third read, second by Mr. Egan. Roll call, please.
Need my roll call. I don't like going to the second page. I can't find my roll call. Okay. Shildroth.
Yes.
Hanky.
Yes.
Pagano. Parson.
Yes.
Cyan. Harris. Jones. Egan. Caputa.
Yes.
Ordinance to authorize a fiscal year 2019 supplemental budget amendment to rollover grant revenue associated with fiscal year 2019 reappropriations of the fiscal year 2018 purchase order rollover.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this bill? Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council.
Shildroth.
Yes.
Hanky.
Yes.
Pagano. Parson. Cyan. Harris. Jones. Egan. Caputa.
Yes. Bill number 9526 passes and becomes
8538. 8538.
8538. Wanted to make sure.
You're just trying to make sure I was paying attention.
Right, right. Bill number 9527.
Ordinance authorizing general fund transfers of salaries and benefits for various departments.
Councilman Shuldorff moves for a second read, second by myself. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Ordinance authorizing general fund transfers of salaries and benefits for various departments.
Mr. Shuldorff moves for a third read, second by myself. Roll call, please.
Shildroth. Yes. Hanky. Yes. Pagano. Yes. Parson. Yes. Cyan. Harris. Jones. Egan. Caputa.
Yes.
Ordinance authorizing general fund transfers of salaries and benefits for various departments.
For the final vote is taken, does anyone like to speak on this bill? Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council.
Shildroth.
Yes.
Hanky.
Yes.
Pagano. Parson. Cyan. Harris. Jones. Egan. Caputa.
Yes. Bill number 9527 passes and becomes ordinance 8539.
I'm exhausted.
Next item is council announcements. Mr. Hinkie.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Am I on here? Thank you, Mr. President. Just real quickly, the weather has been real warm lately. Really, today was nasty. Just keep an eye on your elderly neighbors. Keep up signs of heat with them, and sometimes they try to save a little money on the air conditioning. So if you've got an elderly neighbor, check in on them. That's what we do, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hinkie. Mr. Harris.
I want to say, while it's true that the people of each ward in the city of Florissant rightfully elect a representative of their choosing for the council every 3 years, the city council members ourselves are responsible to elect our own leadership, including president and vice president. Last week, I requested adding the election of officers to this evening's council agenda. It was relayed to me by the city. Such an agenda item, not being a bill or a resolution, could only be added ahead of the meeting by the president of the council per the city charter. Nevertheless, in regards to a recent viral video including one of our members involved in a conflict with another individual, I need and want to make my own position clear. I neither explicitly or implicitly condone or support the conduct of the vice president of our city council. What I found most problematic during the incident was what appeared to be an attempt to use one's office or title to gain an upper hand in an exclusively personal conflict. I want to bring to your attention, the residents' attention, the new parks program guide that came out. It looks great. There's a new layout and format. Just flipping through a couple events to point out. One is something real cool that some of the kids are gawking over. It's these Nerf wars, Friday night Nerf wars. And it's going to be at the JFK. It's for ages 7 to 13 on October 4th. There's limited space for that. And also, I want to point out the Light the Darkness, annual Light the Darkness Glow Run at St. Ferdinand Park to benefit CHAD's Coalition and Eastern Missouri chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. For those of you who may not be aware, CHAD's Coalition is directly serving our students, grade 5 through 12 in both the Hazelwood and the Ferguson-Florissant school districts this school year. Students will hear suicide prevention and awareness lessons, as well as be provided risk screenings to identify students who may need help. So I encourage everyone to sign up for this run at St. Ferdinand Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Ms. Siam.
Thank you, Mr. President. The neighborhood watch captains in Ward 9, Jeff Cook and Chris Matson, and the owner of Show Me's, Nick Wegman, have organized a cleanup event this coming Saturday on August 17th at 9 a.m. It'll last for a couple hours, and we'll help pick up some litter around that area. I think the exact route hasn't been determined yet, but I just wanted to say all are invited and welcome to participate. And, you know, after it's over, we'll go by Show Me's and hang out and have some fun too. So all are invited. I just wanted to let everybody know. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you, Ms. Siam. Mr. Parson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to announce that Ward number 8 is having a neighborhood watch meeting scheduled for tomorrow at the James J. Egan Center, the Arts and Craft Room. It will start at 7 p.m. Once again, it's the Arts and Crafts Room, which is in the basement of the James J. Egan Center, starting at 7 p.m. So we will have some special guests there. Of course, the event is focused on the residents that live in Ward number 8, but everyone is able to attend if you'd like to come by. Secondly, I just want to note that the kids are going back to school this week. It's important as drivers. I know we get into a hurry. You got to go to work in the morning and things like that. We need to be careful with our children walking to the bus and getting on the bus and walking to school. You need to be careful driving around the buses, obey the lights and the stop signs. We don't want any children getting hurt with people trying to pass school buses as they're getting on and off of the buses. So I just ask that everyone be careful with that, and I'm sure all the parents will be happy that the kids are going back to school. I know I am. Then lastly, I just want to address Mr. Hammond's comments earlier. I know he mentioned the viral video that went along that involved a councilman here of Ward number 2. I did speak with Mr. Jones in regards to this issue. You know, it's something that we don't want to see. I understand that people make mistakes, but this is something that I don't think looked very well for the city of Florissant. And actually, I think it's something that either deserves an apology to the young man that was involved, either in public or in private. I feel like something needs to be done whenever, and we need to know that our actions have consequences. Us acting as elected officials are held to a higher standard. Again, I understand that people make mistakes sometimes, but when we are wrong, we need to make those admissions when we are wrong and apologize to people. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parson. Ms. Pagano.
Yes, in regards to the comments made by Mr. Hammond, Mr. Harris, and Mr. Parson. You know, social media is a funny thing. I watched the tape quite a few times. I never saw the beginning of the tape, and I never saw the end of the tape. And it amazes me that it wasn't the person who posted it. It was a family member. I have worked with Mr. Jones for quite a few years, and I'm going to tell you, out of all of us, he is the hardest working councilman there is up here. He knows his residents, he walks his streets, he walks other streets, and he's always on the ball. So it pains me that you come in because someone maybe lost their cool over something that happened that you did not see, you did not witness, that you believed a social media post. Just fumes me. Know the person. Did he use some language that is not appropriate? Sure he did. But what happened before and at the very end, they all blew it off. The kid was laughing. Did they shake hands? I don't know. I'm just saying, for you to do that, to act like you are higher, I have been with Mr. Jones. Excuse me, it's not up to you. Do you know that he hasn't?
No, you just said that.
Hey,
I said that
Mr.
I-
Parson, you're
No.
out of order, sir.
All I am
In
saying.
no way did I say I was higher than him.
I am saying I have been with Mr. Jones at conventions, in my neighborhood, in his neighborhood, and all around this city. And if you ever talk to Mr. Jones, the way he introduces himself to anyone is, I'm Tim Jones, Councilman Ward 2. And I don't care who you are or where you're at, he would do it. So to say that, I do not believe you. And to me, I am sure Mr. Jones will apologize. I am sure that, and it's funny because that day, I talked to Mr. Jones before that video went out, and it wasn't about this. It was about the day he had had. So until you walk in someone's shoes and can say that you have never, ever lost your temper, just shame on you. So, and have you given him a chance to speak yet? And it's not up to you to parent Mr. Jones. I'm finished.
Thank you, Ms. Pagano. Mr. Shuldroff.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to congratulate one of our employees, Tim Limp. He's a park maintenance worker. He's been here 25 years. He was named the Person of the Year by the North County CYC for his dedication and work at St. Ferdinand Park. It's a very well-deserved honor. He's a very serious employee and does a great job at St. Ferdinand.
Not here, but let's hear it for him.
Historic Florissant is having an ongoing fundraiser for the Gedemar House at 1067 Dunn Road. Right now, they're concentrating on getting a new roof on the place, and they're taking donations for you can use a virtual brick if you donate $25 or more as an individual, or $100 or more as a business, and it will be displayed on their website and on their Facebook page. It's a very worthy fund. I think I know Mr. Jones pretty well, and people lose their temper. I don't think anybody in this room has never lost their temper or made a mistake, and I just want people to think about that. He called me and the day the video went up, and told him I hadn't watched it yet, and I wanted to speak to him first before I watched the video. And I spoke to him, and then a couple of days later I watched the video, and I'm sure he's man enough to admit that he made a mistake and he lost his cool. And he does care, as Ms. Pagano said, he does care about the city, and not only his ward, but other wards. And people lose their temper sometimes. Just please take that into account. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shuldroff. Mr. Egan.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I've been a police officer for 30 years, and I've been a human for 59 years. As a police officer, I'm under the microscope quite often. One of the first things I learned in law enforcement, and maybe I should have learned in life, there's more than two sides to every story, or there's at least two sides. Generally speaking, there's 3 or 4 sides. I also know that I'm a student of the human condition, and as a police officer and as elected official, that I'm probably asked to conduct myself in a better light than the average person, but I'm also fallible. I've made mistakes, and there's times when I probably shouldn't apologize, but when looking at the situation, I went back and said, I'm not going to apologize. I probably lost my cool. Maybe I used some salty language, but as we like to say, I didn't start it. I'm not going to make a judgment on a snippet of a video where, as Ms. Pagano pointed out, I get to see the beginning or I didn't get to see the end. I will make a judgment on the man that's sitting next to me, and I've known him to be a good man and very caring for the city. I know that there are procedures in our charter that if the residents of Ward Number 2 don't wish him to be their councilman, they can take those actions. And I don't think I saw only one Ward 2 resident up here today, and I think he was supportive of Mr. Jones. So I'm going to let the electorate do their job, and I'm not going to pass judgment, especially since I'm a fallible person. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. Yes, if you got firearms, make sure you secure your firearms. Like I say, every council meeting, make sure you secure them. Do not leave them in your vehicle. Keep your vehicles locked. Lady earlier on public hearing, hearing from citizens said something about people leaving their porch lights on. Do that. Leave your porch lights on for safety and crime, against crime. Lighting is some of the best deterrent of crime there is. So if you're possibly can have your lights on around your house, porch lights, back lights, leave them on. It will deter your crime. There's several road work projects going on in Ward 4. They will be on your streets. Some of it's going on for about 3-4 days. It's a process that they have to do, so be patient. If it says be off the streets at the time that it says on the, that the pamphlet came to your house, plus they have signs on your street, be patient with that. It's a different process, and hopefully this work. And if you got any problems, let the city, let myself know or City Hall know. Also, Mr. Jones, I too have been friends with Mr. Jones for many, many of years. Before we were even involved in the city, we've worked together on many projects. Even when we're on the job, my name's Timmy Jones, I'm an operator. You know, so that's how Timmy is, introducing himself. The vice president, we even had a vice president of the United States a few years ago shoot somebody in the head. Nothing was never said about that. And so I think Mr. Jones does a hell of a job, excuse my language, for his residents. And the whole video was not out there. I have spoken with Mr. Jones about it. And it just got out of hand a little bit, and then they shook hands afterwards and left their ways. So I think this whole thing was blown out of proportion. Some people asked for an apology, but why do you want to apologize on social media when social media blew this all up? Thank you. Mr. Jones.
Okay, I guess I'd like to start off with apologizing to the young man I used foul language in front of. It's an incident that I have learned from. I apologize to my mayor, the city council, and the residents of this Florissant city. Like I said, I have learned from this, and I have to move on. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. No team? I'll plug team. Make sure you give team. People go hungry morning, noon, and night. What is it, Mr. Jones? Morning, noon, and night, 24/7. Mayor?
I guess the first thing is I'll comment on the Mr. Jones incident. I want to let you guys know that I actually talked to Timmy several times that day before that incident actually happened, and he was out as he always does, walking the streets, as he says, talking to his residents. He was very frustrated about several different things that had happened, and conversations that he had with the residents. So I know that Timmy was already upset when that incident happened. I've certainly have watched it. I've had private discussions with Mr. Jones about that. I can tell you that he's very remorseful. Obviously, just apologized for it. And Timmy's he really is a hard-working council member. He does a lot for his ward, and I think that the voters will decide that. For those that emailed me and told me that I needed to discipline Timmy and that I needed to take action, keep in mind that I do not have power over the other elected officials in the city. They're elected officials also. I'm an elected official. I have staff and administration. I do not have the legislative body of the city. So those that demanded that I have him resign, I don't have that authority to do that. But I will tell you this, is that Timmy and I did have a conversation, and I know how Timmy felt about it, and I know where Timmy is with it, and I know Timmy wishes it didn't happen. So moving on from there, I just wanted to announce tonight, and the council members were able to meet our new economic developer before the meeting tonight. I hired a gentleman by the name of Travis Wilson. He worked in the Economic Development Department in the city of St. Charles. I'm very excited to have him on board. He's got a lot of great ideas. He understands a lot of the challenges that we meet here. And finally, we do have an economic developer on board. I want to thank the entire city council for approving that position probably way back in May. I understand it took me a little bit of time just because I wanted to make sure I hired the right person. And I certainly interviewed many, and I just believe that Mr. Wilson is the right person. I received an email today from Meridian, and it was from Ryan McCullum, one of their upper management members, who assured me that in the email he stated that both our local office and corporate office manage to print and deliver all the checks. And it should be delivered within 7 to 10 business days from delivery. That last day will be this Friday. So if you don't receive your checks by this Friday, please call Meridian. If you're struggling with getting the checks back from Meridian, please give my office a call, and we will make sure that that is done. But I've been promised that they were all printed, and they should be delivered by no later than Friday. Don't forget, on 9/11, we have a remembrance ceremony on the 18th anniversary of the attacks of 9/11. That'll be at the VFW post at 7 p.m. This Friday, we have a food truck night from 5 to 9 at the Knights of Columbus grounds. I'm just going to go to that. I like that better, Paul. And that's Friday night. Saturday night, we have Butch Wax and Hollywoods at our Music Under the Stars concert series. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next regular meeting of the Florissant City Council will be Monday, August 26, 2019. Mr. Shodroff moves to adjourn the regular meeting, second by myself. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned. Where are you going? Are you going vacation? Where are you going?